Hello, everyone. Welcome to LexTalk, World's talk show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Sourav Ghosh with us. Mr. Ghosh is the managing partner of Jalan Co. He commenced his practice in commercial dispute resolution and litigation, and presently has expertise in advising on corporate transactions, corporate documentation, strategic alliances, franchising, e-commerce, and a lot of things. He has advised and represented developers, entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial investors, institutional investors, lenders in corporate and real estate transactions. Recently, very recently, he has also been inducted in the Legal Powerlist 2020 and 2021 by the Forbes Magazine in the category of top managing partners of India. As you can see, we actually have a lot to discuss about Mr. Ghosh today. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself. Hello, Mr. Ghosh. Welcome to the show. And how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for bringing me in the panel.
This is
Thank
all,
you.
sir. Thank you very much for being getting some time out of your busy schedule for the session today. As you can see that I tried my level best to cover things about you, but considering your experience, it's not possible for me to do that. So I want to start with, dwelling down into your experience and expertise. So how would, my first question actually is, how would you describe your development as a lawyer in more than 3 decades of your professional legal career?
See, fortunately, when my career started, India was going through the globalization process. At that point of time, our finance minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, has just opened up the economy, and there was a rush of activities which was happening in every field and also in the legal field. And at the very young age when my career started, I was doing certain commercial litigation for banking, finance, and then the telecom thing happened in India. The spectrums were distributed, and all the wireless connections came in. This is, I am saying, about mid 90s and late 90s. And then there was a lot of new era of legalities which happened. Like then my second major client was Hutch at that point of time. So we understood how the telecom operators operate. And then, there was a lot of competition commission matters coming up. And, being a law firm practice, you have to have your engagement in every field. Like a businessman, a business house, or a business organization, they may be working in a particular field, like finance or infrastructure or manufacturing. But I today understand, after my experience of so many years, that every business house requires the same level of advising, because to put up a factory, you need land. Once you put up the factory, you need machineries to be put in the factory. So you have to do certain borrowings from the bankings. So, you have advising in every sphere for your client to do it. And that does not restrict you to only litigation. You have to do documentation, advising, financial planning, as well as, whenever there is a dispute, you have to address the dispute through arbitration, maybe international, maybe domestic, maybe litigation. So, any sector, any nature of business, for a law firm practitioner, you have to have all the fingers in every aspects of law, every forum, starting from district court till Supreme Court, from any tribunals, and any aspect of law which comes, you have to document that for them. Because see, they can't, the institutional clients cannot go and seek one advice from one and another thing from another. They don't also wish to do that. So there, we have consolidated in last 2 decades of clients, and they are still continuing to grow with us. We are growing with them. The patronages are in Bonhomie, and Then I did international matters where one of my clients bought a coal mine in Indonesia, and I had to go entirely through their criminal procedure code, their civil procedure code. And being a Commonwealth country, I find it a lot of similarity with Indian laws. So I didn't have much of a problem apart from the linguistic issues and all. Then it culminated in an international arbitration in Singapore. SIAC, we represented the client, So whenever you are taking up an assignment for a client, where it will end up, you never know. So now what I'm experiencing is further very thrilling. There's a lot of sport law documentation, contractual things coming up, because sports have become a very big thing in the new regime of the central government. And we see today, huge participation in Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and other. And every sports have been now branded. They are being sponsored. There are a lot of sport management companies. So just thriving up, and every other player has an endorser. Every player has to do a contract with the endorsement companies. Endorsement companies, on the other hand, does contracts with my clients. Similarly, these all have to be very nicely documented. Otherwise, you sprout out litigation out of it. Unfortunately, we don't have litigation till now because these documents are well settled documents till date in Indian laws. I think I can give you a bit of glimpse of my past career, right?
I mean, that's very beautifully put, Mr. Ghosh. As I said, we had a discussion with Ms. Samran Sen Gupta as well, and we got a chance to discuss about sports law and art law, as he's sort of specialized, and it's evolving part of the practice. So we got a chance to go deep into that. So I'll not go deep into that segment here, but rather, in order to go further deep in understanding your journey as a lawyer, how would you see, it's a sort of futuristic question very early in the session, but how would you see your growth as a legal professional in the contemporary Indian as well as the international legal system?
See, my international exposure had made me understand that in international sector, the litigation per se are very less, and you can less in number, because those are all contractual dispute between corporates. Majorly, people are not very keen to litigate there. Litigation is also an expensive factor. It's not like India, there every individual says, I will see you in court. So here, individual litigation is much more than institutional or corporate litigations. But it's just the opposite when you go abroad. There, individuals don't fight. They are very well protected under documents. And here, if you fail for a simple insurance payment, also they go to a consumer forum and claim why I have not been paid. So, India is developing in the international practice sense, because nowadays there are institutions created for institutional arbitrations. Till now, arbitrations. Ad hoc arbitration means there is a clause where there is a scheme how the arbiter has to be appointed. Parties appoint likewise or go to the court and court appoints an arbitrator. That's not an institutional arbitrator. What is institutional arbitration is, I nominate an institute like Chamber of Commerce or XYZ, and they, by their rules, conduct the arbitration. Simple example is SIAC or London Tribunal of Arbitration and all these things. So this is coming up now in India in last maybe 5 years time, and people are more and more putting those contractual clauses there. So we are somewhere, but it will be taking a lot of time to create an international infrastructure, because there are so many courts, so huge population has to be catered. The judicial infrastructure are way lacking behind. It will take another maybe 2 decades to come up with the international standards. But again, I don't blame it. for any reason, because today the population of Germany is 8 crores. Our Delhi has more than 8 crores of population. You understand? So these challenges have to be there. So it is much easier for a country to have a very strong infrastructure in judiciary where your population is much less, so disputes are also less. I'm just citing an example. There are many other countries, many other such examples. So we cannot, somewhere with the international system of judiciary and dispute and litigation, compare with the Indian scenario at all. But in regards the documentation part, the contractual documentation, there is seamless, no difference. There are a lot of export imports happening. There are documentations everywhere. Like I tell you, Exide is one of my clients. Now, Exide has a monopoly business in Asia Pacific. Now, when a German-made car comes to India, they don't have battery plants here. They take Exide people, train them there so that they can do the battery backup for a Merc or an Audi or cars like those. So these all includes a lot of documentation, contractual aspects, but it is working seamlessly. There is no issues on that. So regarding that part of it, India does not have any challenge. It is at the international standards. But as I said, litigation and dispute resolution cannot be because of the reasons I cited.
That's very right. And if we can also talk about, since you have such a great experience, and see, there was a sudden change, positive and negative, when the pandemic happened. Ironically, it also brought a lot of positive disruption with it. But along the side, we saw some courts begin moving towards more remote proceedings and availability. What do you think? Is this a sustainable way and a possible way to increase access to justice? What's your opinion on that?
See, my view on this is initially when the COVID lockdown happened worldwide, people were very jittery or not in a position to understand how things will happen. But there was a compulsion that you cannot sit and there will be no business, no circulation of finance. So slowly people started to do in a virtual manner. And however the best it can be exploited in a virtual way, that was done. I know till today, many multinational companies, people are doing work from home. And they're happy doing it. There is no issues about their job aspect or delivery or efficiency. So those sectors like IT and others did not have any problem, and they very easily transformed into it. But in the judicial sector, it took some time. Initially, it went virtually. The court started operating virtually. Then they did both, physical and virtual both. Till now, in many courts, the senior lawyers who are senior citizens, they don't appear. They do it virtually. Others appear. So I see that it is always a boon in disguise for us, because we in the judicial sector had ignored the virtual participation totally till the COVID had come. I give you a small example. If I have a matter in Supreme Court and one of the top lawyers are appointed to represent us there, my client would insist always me to travel and do the conference with them before the COVID era. But now my client has understood that is not required at all. And they save on the costs also. So these are the boon in disguise which has happened, and the virtual participation has become 50% in judicial sector. And where there is a requirement of physical presence, there is a requirement of physical presence. That always can be done. So, I think the virtual aspect will grow and keep on continuing. As see, if it was pre-COVID, we wouldn't have been chatting like this virtually. You would have taken me a physical interview when I was in Singapore, right? So these all transformations happened, and that is for good. I find that's for very futuristic, and anything which starts will grow. It has to grow, and many more things will happen which we cannot imagine. Also, like 10 years back or 15 years back, we couldn't imagine wireless connections. Now it is with everyone's hand. So what will happen technologically tomorrow, we don't know, and huge changes are going to come. So this virtual effect is a good effect, and it should be there. It should continue, and we are no one to stop it. Also, it has its own force to continue itself. It has
I mean,
taken
we
the
will.
it has taken the place.
Yeah, you very, very rightly said. And we're going to get into the technical aspect of the legal fraternity. But before we do that, I also have, uh, I actually want your opinion on something that is access to justice. And so the formal question actually is, how would you rate the current legal system's drive towards encouraging access to justice? And is there a tangible movement in closing justice gap, if there is any?
See, justice is available. It is not that it is not there. But again, I say, if you see it in India's parlance, it has not reached out to the commoners. See, India has one district court in one district. And what is the population of that? How big the districts are? And what is the awareness of those commoner people about the law? So the access has to be given and reached out to them. Otherwise, if awareness is there, as I said, apart from other countries, I find Indian citizens are much more aware of law, and they always say, "I will see you at court." But then there are also, if not 40%, at least 30% population who have not got the access of justice. So that access has to be reached out to them so that they can avail. Um, Secondly, you have to also understand one thing, that the biggest litigant in India is the government, maybe state, maybe center. So there are plethora of writ petitions happening. Why? Because my fundamental right has not been somewhere overruled by the government. So this also, I think, has to be looked into somewhere. The discharge of administration, if done properly, then these writs would not have been filed. So this cleansing somewhere is required. The administrative bodies has to be much more proactive. Uh, the political system has to cleanse them, make them a very population friendly administrative bodies. I'm not saying that they're not, but then why so many writ petitions happening, and why the writ petitions are admitted, orders are passed? It's not that they are all false cases, they're thrown away from the court. It's not so, right? So one is getting access. Second is, if the administrative bodies are functioning in a proper manner, then the rights are granted, then you don't have to litigate at all.
So what you're saying, it's, I mean, more than an infrastructural issue, it's more of an awareness issue.
Both. I'm saying both.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. I mean, we're having that coming it from you. Now coming back to the technological aspect of it, because when we talked about the pandemic, as you also said that it brought both things with it. Ironically, a lot of positive disruptions, and because of that, we are standing in the middle of the era of legal technology. And my question is, in this legal tech era, what are the most commonly used tools for you to ease the process?
See, again, I will say that there are a lot of uh, apps and websites and legal dictionaries which are there online available. Everything is there. They also help us in many ways. I somewhere want to join issues like with the younger generation. They directly go and access a judgment, put the keywords, find out the judgment, and place it in their case, or they place it before their seniors without going to the background of that law. Now, when you, my advice is when you have a question to be, legal question to be looked into and researched on, first go to the charging section in the book. See what happens when you turn few pages in the book, you see many other correlated sections. So you understand what is the basis. Then you see the old cases there noted down and do a follow-up then on the internet with the apps and all, like Supreme Court Online, XYZ, these things are there which helps us finding out cases. But if you directly hit that and put the keywords and get the case law, then you are not doing a research. You're basically using an artificial intelligence to represent your case through that case law, nothing else. So your own growth is not happening. Tech tools will be there. They will improve themselves. Artificial intelligence is a great thing which is working today. It is very simple. If I'm traveling somewhere, the moment a ticket is bought in my name, I get few offers on my phone. How? It's artificial intelligence, nothing else. I'm going to watch 2 semifinals in the Football World Cup. And coincidentally, I was invited for a law conference in Dubai. How? Very next 2 days. And I will say, this is an artificial intelligence tech which is helping the organizers to find out people who are there in and around at that point of time. So
what you're trying, what you're saying is you're actually trying to put it in a that one should be process oriented tools.
See, if I take sports are a lot of gadgets to help them, lot of artificial things. You see, you watch a game of the other side, you see their weaknesses, you do everything, but can you miss your practice? You have to do your net practice. So that net practice the young lawyers don't do nowadays. They straight go virtually and put the button there and get this, and they're very happy showing to the seniors, yeah, I got this. Then when you ask the basic question, they are not in a position to answer that. That's what I'm saying.
That is a fair answer. I mean, that is a fair approach, and I guess that there is a lot to learn out of it, especially because a lot of young lawyers watch our show. And again, I will reiterate my question. If you can also suggest what are those tools that you use? I mean, this is the good practices that we were talking about, but are there any tools that sort of ease the process for you?
See, basically in my practice level, I don't use much of tools. I don't think so, apart from 1 or 2 like SCC Online, and there are bar and bench apps and all which keeps us updated about what is happening. But otherwise, I am not much into, and I don't require it also. Requirement has not happened for me regarding these tools, being very candid.
That's fair enough. That's very fair enough. So my next question, or rather I should say the last question of the session, is about a very common question that we ask all the lawyers. And we all have heard that time is money in any profession. And in legal, it's most of all. Rather, I believe that in India, it's just the lawyers who value time because they know the hourly payment system also. We Indians are not exposed to that like States or Europe. The question specifically is, how do you ensure to make the best of your time as a lawyer?
See, hourly payments are there in India as well. Hourly payments are much more workable and structured when you are doing a documentation. You're doing an assignment where financing is happening. There are at least 20 documents to be vetted or drafted, and there is a time sequencing for that, and my team is engaged. 4 people are doing that particular assignment for next 15 days. So hourly billing is there and the standards are set. But in litigation, you cannot do an hourly billing, because in litigation, unfortunately in India, when the matter will be taken up, how much time will be consumed, and what will be the other side stand, where they will take an adjournment or they will file a new application. So you can't go for an hourly billing or a lump sum fees as well. But hourly billing works very fine when it comes to documentation, as I said, transactional documents and all these things. And sorry, what you wanted exactly know from me?
So I basically wanted to understand how do you ensure to make the best out of your time as a lawyer?
See, you have to understand there are 3 verticals of legal practice. One is counsel practice, one is a law office practice, like I am heading a law office and I have my team. Another is a law firm practice. Okay, now a counsel, whenever he is engaged in one matter or doing some drafting, whatever it is, whatever he is doing, he's earning that. For a law office practice, again, that work is distributed within a team. For a law firm, we have maybe 5 offices across India. Every office has a partner. He has a team. And we are having exchange of work, like Bombay clients send work in Calcutta, Calcutta clients send work in Delhi. So they are habituated with the same culture of delivery and efficiency in all the zones of India. Now, it is not me who always have to do something. The entire firm is working and entire firm is billing. Okay, where I am required, clients know. They come to me and I advise or do whatever assignment I have to discharge at my end. So where other partners are required, they are engaged in their own way. So actually, time is highly exploited because everyone is working and billing at their own domain. No one is sitting idle. Like we have maybe 100 lawyers or 100 to 5 lawyers in my office, in 3 offices today. Everyone is doing their job. No one is sitting idle. Someone has to do something and they have their hands full. So, time is totally used and billing happens on that.
I mean, I had never heard in answer of this question that time is actually being exploited. And that's a very sort of different way to look at it, because generally we receive very traditional answers to this question.
No, I'm saying it's overexploited here. Not only exploited, it's overexploited, because one person doing one assignment has 3 assignments lined up also, because every day brings up new assignments. So the turnaround time has to be overnight. If it is heavy assignment, then you are giving it 10 days time, then the fees are also that way.
That's very fair enough. That's very fair enough, Mr. Ghosh. I said that this is my last question, but I guess now this is my last question that I have, which is for the young professionals, because you mentioned it, so I want you to take it a bit further and end on that note. Having such great experience, you've learned a lot, and that can sort of reduce the lag phase for a lot of young professionals. My question is, what would you suggest to young professionals who want to be part of the legal, this noble profession, and who have sort of entered and trying to make their way?
See, first thing is that you have to have a vision. You have to have patience. At my starting time, before 10 years, you are not counted as a lawyer. Now it might have come down to 5 years. The young lawyers are very intelligent. They're very smart. They are aggressive, assertive. So maybe they can, but 5 years patience is required to stick somewhere and learn the thing. Because, in college, you are taught academics. But when you come to the practical world, it's a different altogether. When you face a client, he has a 10,000 questions. When you go to the court, the judge has a different viewpoint. So, you have to train. That minimum time has to be given. And the main thing with the juniors should understand, which is not, again, I'm sorry to say, highly taught in the colleges, are the first principles and doctrines. The foundation of law is standing on that. And if you today say, a fresher comes, do you know this doctrine? And they will make such a face, what are you asking? I never heard of this term only. When I say approbation, reprobation, they don't understand. Then when I say you can't blow hot and cold at the same time, this is a doctrine. You can't write two things in your petition. You can't write everything in your advantage. So these are the basic small things which makes a lawyer refine to become a fine lawyer. But that is zero. This sad part of the Indian system, I tell you, I try my best to take them to these doctrines and first principles and read it, find out. And in fact, we do alternate Saturdays, we do a law notes circle where every lawyer of an office participates and gives presentation of case laws, the latest case laws. And after that, we have lunch. And there, every person has to discuss one doctrine or first principle of law. So in an indirect manner, we try to, teach them in a, very nice environment, not, putting any pressure. One is enough for 15 days and one case law. And when everyone is gathering up, everyone is listening and learning that too. So it's beneficial for the whole team.
I mean, that's really wonderful. That's a good initiative, Mr. Ghosh. As I said, so we are talking about Mr. Sen Gupta. You will see his session very soon coming on our channel itself. He said, and it I guess reflects from seniors to juniors itself. He was mentioning about Mr. Ghosh as well while we were discussing about him, and we can see all those things getting reflected here. So this has been a great session, Mr. Ghosh. I have actually enjoyed it, and there are so many nuggets that I've taken
I
out of
just
this session.
pausing you for a moment. See,
Sure.
Mr. Sen Gupta is with me for last 14 years. And he joined our firm with a 3.5 years experience. And then he's today an equity partner. So we believe in organic growth. And we invite fresh talents, experienced talents also. But this process of organic growth is very important because then the culture and ethics of the firm is restored. See, we are a legacy firm, we're 75 years old. So that legacy, that heritage has to be carried. And we cannot do anything which does not qualify the culture of the firm. So we have a lot of responsibilities for that, and the young generation has, and you can see it is a democratic firm. Maybe it sounds a Marwari firm because Mr. Jalan's name is there, but it's a democratic firm. You find Bengali, you find Rajasthani people, you find South Indian, everyone is there. So and you will find it rarely. You don't find this very easily out in India. Anyways.
I mean, that's very right. I mean, when we had a discussion, once our viewers witness that session, you will realize that he started as an associate and went, as he said, now is the equity partner of Jalan Co. And we have a managing partner of Jalan Co in front of us. So we see
See,
a lot
I
of.
joined 18 years back in this firm as a junior associate.
So we have two examples.
And no, I have another. My Bombay partner is a professional partner today. He is going to get equity in a couple of years.
Brilliant. That's what the value addition aspect of legal fraternity shows what it's all about. And as I said, this has been a great session, Mr. Ghosh. Thank you very much for getting some time out of a busy schedule and sharing such great insights with us. We look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international legal industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Ghosh, I want you to like this video, to share this video, and click on that red button to subscribe to Click of the Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from legal industry leaders like Mr. Sourav Ghosh himself. This is Sagar for LexTalk World, signing off again.